This is a 1968 Land Rover NADA Series 2A station wagon, 109. Last insured August 1993. As far as I know, it's only had one owner who drove it for 25 years. Then it sat for 26 and was visible in a back alley somewhere around North Vancouver. I started to clean it up, and then I thought, oh, it might be good to document it before it had any more work done to it. And by clean up, all I mean is just blow air on it, get rid of debris, vacuum up rust. From there, I would just use hot soapy water, and then one cleaner I've bought is called Spray 9. I would try that on some small patches and go from there. But first order of business is just to clean it up. It's going to be making a trip to Edmonton soon. It'll have to be flat decked or put in a cargo trailer. Notice the environment here, which is the central interior of British Columbia, it's almost falling apart just by being here, because it was in such a wet climate. Now it's in a dry climate. The rubber that's on the vehicle, it was kind of supple at first. It's just crumbling now and falling off as I open the doors. I knew it needed replacing, so that's not a worry. Actually, a lot will need replacing in here. It'll need a complete frame off restoration. It's actually moss growing in the on the inside of the windowsill there. Actually had lichen growing on it and moss in a few places, but like I say, since it's been in this dry climate, it's kind of been dying, withering away. So before any more falls off, I wanted to document it. It's been in my driveway about 3 weeks now. I have climbed in and around it. Haven't explored everything. The frame is definitely pretty rotten. So I've looked into getting a new frame. I don't have the tools or technical ability to do this kind of restoration, but I'm hoping to manage the project and fund it and source a lot of the parts. I'm going to open up the hood now. From what I can tell of the series, only 811 were made, and this is number 740. Most of the parts seem to be there. I see the front badge has been taken off the grille. Looks like it's got original leaf springs. I'm not sure if those will need replacing, definitely refurbishing. Maybe a replacement with parabolic springs, but I'd like to keep this thing as original as possible. One thing really interesting is it has the original straight six engine with the Westlake head. I'm not familiar with that. I'm not familiar with this engine or engines in general, but this one appears to be original from what I can tell. That's not an exhaust, that's actually the air intake. I looked for a carburetor, and the best as I can tell is this is the carburation system there. Looks like brake cylinder, ignition, starter. I recognize a distribution cap or distributor cap. When bringing it into the driveway, this hose actually came undone and a bunch of antifreeze fell out, which was a good thing in my mind, because at least it has fluid. I checked the engine oil. It still has oil from all those years ago, and it doesn't look milky. That's a good sign. I can tell whoever owned this vehicle definitely loved it. Originally came to the Leyland Motor Company in Vancouver, 1968. I'm just using a gimbal here, so I have to adjust it because it wants to correct itself all the time. One thing I noticed that caused me a bit of concern, but I'm hoping it's not from this vehicle, or if it is, that it's been replaced, is a, can you see that? I think that's a valve, and obviously a damaged one. This engine seems to be put together, so I'm hoping this was from another vehicle or in this vehicle and then repaired. The seats have been reupholstered at one time. They have the original, what I assume is the original elephant hide gray vinyl underneath, and then some kind of cloth that's peeling off. So I don't think that'll be a big deal to get restored. Just gonna get inside here. It has 8,700 and 117 miles. I'll assume that hasn't wrapped based on where the gentleman lived and what he did for a living. This was probably either a weekend pleasure vehicle or maybe a daily driver. This shot shows the, I'm not sure what it's called, but the plate that shows the chassis number, 343-00740A. So that's number 740. Just looking at the dash here, what I've learned from the help of the internet is this is the left-hand screen heater, the right-hand screen heater, so that's these things. It's just looking on the driver's side or left-hand side back door or station wagon door or second row seating. Lots of rust on the frame, so I'm sure the door frames will need replacing. I don't think this particle board is original on the back of the seats. That may have been done when they were reupholstered. Actually, that upholstery goes behind it, so that leads me to believe it isn't original. Bench seats here. Just gonna tilt the camera up. The I'm not sure what it's called. The tropical roof, though, the lining is in really good shape. A little rust around the, I guess they're called, most people refer to them as safari vents, but from what I can tell online, it's actually called a tropical roof, and those are tropical vents. This wagon seats 10, 3 in the front, 3 in the second row, and then 2 and 2 in the back. There's a good example of the original elephant hide gray vinyl on the back there. The seat's been recovered, although it's all, I think there must have been some color to this fabric and it's just faded away. Back door seems to work pretty good. Just looking at the back of the vehicle now, this back bumper is part of the frame. It's completely gone. This is the flip down rear step. I don't think it's salvageable, so it'll just have to be, it's kind of a smell out here, and a friend of mine that came over said it's bad gas, and it looks like the tank is leaking a little bit. I'll have to see if I can drain that. It looks like this used to, ouch, should have some gloves on, used to be up and part of the frame, but it's just corroded, and that's the gas tank kind of broken down. It's got a trailer hitch. Back door seems to be in good condition except for the trim and the rubber seals. They've probably been replaced once already or twice in their time, would be my guess. Those are looking pretty rough here, and like I say, they're really drying out since being parked here in the central BC as opposed to the wet west coast, Pacific Northwest coast. I noticed there was a toolbox underneath here, and I'll take some footage of that at some time. There's stuff in there, I'm not quite sure what it is, but we'll have a peek and see what's in there. Notice there's a couple 20W50 Valvoline oil containers in here. It's at the back on the driver's side. And on the passenger side, some good old WD-40 and Texaco brake fluid and more brake fluid. So gives me an idea of what this fella had on hand when he was operating it. Yeah, the space in here is just incredible. When I have it open and stand up and look back, I've kind of measured it out. It looks like with the rear seats taken out, or at least the top part's taken down, I could put a 4x6.5 or so sheet of plywood and maybe put a mattress in there for camping. The wife wasn't too thrilled, said that's not my idea of camping, but I can't think of a better way to camp myself.